Day 1 of the fusion has officially begun for Mavara, the web diviner, and my god, is she a hottie. Dude, it's just the colors and everything. This is 100% my type of champion right here. My favorite colors are like that bluish and purple anywho, and the glow to it, as well as her looking like a night elf. And wow, makes you want to go back and play a little bit of that too. Maybe make a Sork or something of that sort. But Jesus, girl, put some pants on. Absolutely gorgeous though, especially the little hair piece. And oh my gosh, I didn't even notice that, but I really had to zoom in to notice her blush, and it's a good touch. It's a nice little touch right there. Voluminous hair, big old feathers on her nice little cape slash robe thing. I mean, that's for sure a little cape. Anywho, she's a legendary support champion within the Dark Elves faction. And my god, does her kit look absolutely like something that I need. Not saying she's insane and she's a must-have, I'm just saying that I must have her. Before I get too deep into the video, download raid down below with my link to get yourself 2 legendaries and 3 epics. She honestly brings in a lot with her kit. The only thing that I am bummed out about is the increasing ally speed in arena battles by 28%. I'm a big fan of having more like versatile champions, which her kit is versatile. We'll be diving in there shortly. However, the speed aura is just a little bit of a bummer, but oh well, you know, it's not the worst thing ever. Sweet little passive: for every 8 buffs the enemy team receives, increases the turn meter of all allies. And then for every 16 buffs this champion and their allies receive, heals all allies for 20% of their max HP. I really don't see a cooldown on this or anything, so if you're just spamming out buffs like nuts, or the other team is, it's going to be crazy. A3, we've got a singular revive and increasing that champion's turn meter by 50%. Although she places a perfect veil on everybody except for herself for 2 turns, and giving herself an unkillable buff for 2 turns. I can definitely see some synergy with Ezio even, just because he needs that perfect veil. Although if you're bringing both Mavara and Ezio for PvP, Ezio already has his own perfect veil for like 2 turns at the beginning of the turn, so it's just like, eh. A2 brings in strengthen and increase resistance buff for the team. This sounds like a fantastic skill to bring into, especially when you are doing some prolonged boss fights. I'm thinking Hydra, especially since you want increased resistance on Hydra. The secondary part of her kit is equalizing HP levels of all allies. The HP levels of all allies will be brought up to the level of the ally with the highest HP. And then her A1 is the most juiced out part with the fervor buff. She places a fervor buff on a random ally for 2 turns, except for herself. Then if somebody already has the fervor buff, it moves on to a different ally. Champions that are under the fervor buff have a 50% chance of joining the attacks of other allies that are also under fervor. And what is fervor? It increases damage inflicted by 10% and reduces damage received by 10%. It also leaves out Mavara for the team ups, so that way you can just have your juiced out champions, your tag champions, to do all of that for you. Not only is the legendary for the fusion really good, at least for me and a lot of folks, both in PvE and PvP, the Argonite epic that's part of the fusion, Stonebound Thisbe, is actually not that bad either. I took a look at the kit, bringing in, what is this, decrease attack, also stealing 10% of the target's turn meter, AoE, hex, and block buffs, debuffs on all enemies for 2 turns. This alone, fantastic for Hydra. 10 out of 10 would keep a copy of Thisbe if I could. And then the A3 decreases the duration of all ally debuffs by 1 turn, although she also fills turn meter of everybody and healing everybody of their max HP. Sweet little passive encouraging your team to do a bit more damage, allies dealing 10% more damage to enemies under the debuffs placed by this champion. So you definitely want to throw some accuracy on her, giga speed, and probably some survivability. That way she doesn't die. That's a nice little additional 10% more damage from everybody else on your team. And Plarium has actually stepped up their graphics and their character designs or champion designs so much more. Look at just how good this looks. Oh my, like what even is this? It's like a torch? little staff. Oh my, and she's got sweet heels on. That arch looks like it's very, very uncomfortable. Snake-like vines going up her legs and everything. Beautiful patterns to her dress. My god, this is just so good. Although I do wish that the hair didn't look as flat, because now that I'm looking at the hair, it doesn't really exactly look like hair. It just looks like a piece of plastic almost with some patterns on it. Either way, compared to most of the other champions, as she is one of the newer ones, she looks amazing. Not as good as Marva, though. Marva? Mavara. There we go. Look at me. I'm making up names again. While we're doing the auto multi-battles, we are going to do some fusion planning. The fusion has already taken off April 8th all the way to April 22nd. So currently we are here on Wednesday. This is the first day of the fusion, and there are a total of 450 fragments. When I woke up today, I honestly thought that it was going to be an easier fusion with just like 100 fragments. Bing, bang, boom. We got Mavara. But little did I know, we have to get the fragments for the epics and then fuse the epics into the legendary Mavara support champion. It's a little bit harder than I thought. I generally do like the fragment summons more than, or fragment fusions more than the other types of fusions because they're a bit easier on the resources. However, since there are only 450 fragments in total that you can get from the fusion, there is little shimmy room that you can have in here unless you are lucky enough to summon a Thisbe through one of these summon events like Summon Rush or Champion Chase, which the Summon Rush is happening this weekend, and this is around my birthday too. My birthday is on Saturday up here. Last year during my birthday, I did one Sacred and got Armand. So I'm curious what we get this year for our birthday summons. And this is going to be during the Summon Rush, so it wouldn't be too many fragments. Why do I keep saying fragments today? I wouldn't be summoning too many Sacreds anyways. Like I said, CVC is still going on, so it's going to be ending really soon though, Thursday morning. But what's nice about this first event is Fire Knight Tournament here is happening during the CVC as well as the Gear Hunters event. So technically you could be triple dipping right now, CVC points, Fire Knight Tournament, and the Gear Hunters event. So I would definitely do these right now during the CVC, preparing more silver too for the Gear Enhancement event starting tomorrow. Too bad though, because the Gear Hunters event isn't really lining up with the Ice Golem tournament that is happening on April 11th in the evening, or like the reset for April 12th, but it still lines up with the champion training tournament. So if you are going to be leveling up food champions and such in campaign, you'll still be able to grind up a little bit more for the Gear Hunters event if you're unable to finish for the Fire Knights tournament. We don't normally have a ×2 event for any shards during Summon Rush. It's typically like progressive chances, although we have one right now during the CVC. So who knows if there will be more progressive chances by the time the Summon Rush comes around. Good time to use your Sacred Shards here. I would probably say a handful Sacred Shards. Then the Champion Chase Tournament is the one that normally has a ×2 event. So I'm thinking we just had a ×2 for Primals. We just had a ×2 for Voids. So it's either going to be Ancients or Sacreds. And I feel like ×2 and Sacred's going to be a little too sweet to be true, but that could be it. If you're planning to score pretty well in the tournament, you can score 50 fragments extra this way. So I would probably recommend saving your summons for your Thisbes up until the Champion Chase tournament just for the extra points here, because each epic nets you 250 points for the Champion Chase. Then between the 14th and 15th here, you really get like a little bit of a breather because there's only a Gear Enhancement event that's available. The Ice Golem tournament is active with nothing else going on that's overlapping it, which is a huge bummer, as well as the Dragon tournament. Like there's nothing else that's lining up with that. So from like technically the 13th to the 16th is pretty dead except for the Gear Enhancement. I do wonder what's going on there, but maybe they're just giving us a nice little break. Fire Knight tournament, I would do it now, as well as the Gear Hunters event during CVC. Then it's going to end early tomorrow morning. You're going to have a little bit more silver for the Gear Enhancement event here. Spend a handful of your sacreds for Summon Rush. Hopefully you guys have that saved up. If you only have a little bit more to go with the Gear Hunters event, I would finish it up while overlapping with the Champions Training Tournament. Of course, you do have to make sure you have about, I have this written down, 80 medium spirit potions, 24 big spirit potions, or the superior ones, 60 medium arcane, and 12 of the superior whites, as well as 16 4-star chickens ready to go, because you're going to need to advance your 4 Thisbes in order to fuse your Mavara. Prep your easy wins for classic arenas right now if you haven't already. Start putting like a 1-man defense in, just so you can de-rank a little bit. Get some easy wins in. Either way, you're going to be just fine, especially while waiting for the refreshes and such. Since we really can't miss out on too many events, or like if any at all whatsoever, unless you're extremely lucky or going for the win for the Champion Chase tournament, there are 3 gear enhancements that you have to do basically back to back to back. So I would highly suggest getting some good amount of silver in, because the spider tournament doesn't happen until towards the end. So that would be a nice way for you guys to top up with some silver right now. But you know, sell most of your stuff that you don't need during Fire Knight and Ice Golem. Definitely Spider, especially if you're looking low on money. I'm going into it with like 20 mil, and I know for a fact that's not going to be enough. So I'm going to be relying a lot on the grinded up gears for sure. At least towards the end, the Spider tournament lines up with the Gear Hunters event, as well as the Champion Training event, if you are needing both of those to kind of top off the Gear Hunters event itself. Guys, I really think this one's going to be in the bag for most of us. It's just going to be a busy next few weeks for sure. I really hope the Champion Chase tournament is going to be a ×2 on ancient shards instead, because I have a lot more ancient shards than sacreds, but that's probably not going to be the case. Unless I just get really unlucky and get like 5 rare taxes or something like that. 5 10-pull rare taxes, then that would be awful. Absolutely awful. As me, I know guys, sometimes it does get quite exhausting working on fusions back to back, but now is the time to actually do fusions more than ever, just for the reroll tokens or the fusion tokens. The fusion tokens themselves are super worth it. I myself am saving up for a Wixwell, and the only way to do that is to save up 3 more of the fusion tokens. That way I can swap the 4th fusion that I don't really want, because you get 1 token per fusion that you complete, and I really want Wixwell, man. He would complete me. Okay, not quite. There are a lot of other champions that I want, but he would complete me. Recently got out of a 2-week tournament myself, so I was a little bit exhausted, and I almost wasn't going to go for this fusion, but definitely gonna lock it in. She's a cutie, she's a hottie, beautiful kit for both PvE and PvP, as well as Hydra, which I am definitely looking for more hexers and block buffers too, because I do have a handful that do a beautiful job, such as Ugo, Wukong, the block buffs, and then Mithrala for the hex. But Mavara, nice, as well as the increased resistance, so she's gonna be good on another team. From the looks of it, we are completely finished with the Fire Knight tournament. However, we might push a little bit more to get like another 500 points for the 4-star chicken anyway, since we are going to need that, and of course trying to get more points into the Gear Hunters event. So we are just about halfway there to the Stonebound Thisbe fragments on the Gear Hunters event, so we might just go ahead and finish that grind. Just a reminder again, make a brand new raid account with my link down below to get yourself 2 legendaries and 3 epics. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.